See the little green bar?
Where is it?
Up there.
Oh, on the
there,
right. Oh, yeah, the little mini monitor. Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So here we are.
Awesome. We are live. Hey, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Nick.
And we are the Gosslings. And welcome to episode 17.
Correct.
I guess.
Correct.
Which is going to be hopefully a little bit more focused today than most of our live streams have in the past, where we just ramble. We actually have topics.
Yeah, we have discussion questions.
Yeah.
We did our pre-work, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, we did our homework. We're prepped,
Doesn't mean we're not going to ramble for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right, yeah, we're not going to be useless.
Anything could happen, folks. You know
how
it is.
Everybody. Hey, Adam, what's up, bud?
Adam is on. What's up, man?
Yeah, Adam, for anybody who is tuning in or watching this later, who maybe hasn't watched any of the others, Adam Burrell is the narrator. Nick and I are a couple of independent authors who publish our books on Amazon. And Adam Burrell, in the comments here, he is our narrator. And he narrates everything for our audiobooks.
Yep.
So everything for the Heavenly Realms series that I write, and then everything for the Travelers League that Nick writes.
Yep.
And Adam has become the voice of Heavenly Realms, and in a way is sort of, I guess, shaping up to sort of be...
He is becoming the voice of the Travelers League.
The voice of the Travelers League.
Absolutely.
So we're very fortunate to have hoodwinked Adam into being our our guy. He's very gracious to us. We don't deserve him, but we'll take him. So if you're watching this and you're looking to either get into audio work, or because I got some work friends who have expressed interest in that, or if you're looking to get your book published in audiobook format through ACX, reach out to Adam Burrell, man. He is he's the man. He's English, and he's got this awesome kind of Alan Rickman-esque tone
he can
to him, and he does a slew of accents.
Very versatile.
Yeah, very versatile. Like he did some killer accents for Heavenly Realms, and for the Travelers League, apparently.
And he's a way harder worker than we are.
Right, yeah.
Adam brings the professional gravitas
to
balance out our
our artist brains, slacker kind of. I'll write when I feel like it.
I don't think there have ever been two authors more susceptible to resistance,
right?
And writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of myself, I'm a huge egomaniac. I get any validation that any of my work is decent, and I'm like, I know. Yeah. I start thinking that, like, I knew I was doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's like
doing this whole writing thing.
Yeah, it's vindication.
I was wearing ascots and smoking pipes when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
With my slippers by the fire.
Yeah. I had a bathrobe at 10. It was navy, I remember.
Nice.
And I would walk around the house wearing it. Yeah, thinking I was cool.
I have a bathrobe now, but it's solid black, kind of like a black belt. I've kind of graduated that level of pretension.
Well, that's the mythology of the belts, of the colors of the belts.
Yeah.
The reason why it goes from white to black and all the colors in between is supposed to be like the amount of sweat and blood that you get on your uniform.
It gets darker and darker.
It gets darker over time. I don't know if that's
cool.
True, because like with most things with martial arts, it's kind of the mythology of
that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, it's the mist of the mystic orient, whatever. So, you want to do our toast real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. I think you start this time, actually.
Okay. Every week we start off by doing a toast that Nick and I came up with. It's sort of the mantra of the Gosslings, and it's just sort of a cool tradition that we really like doing. So we say it. If you have a drink, you're welcome to say it along with us.
Yep.
One of us starts and then the other finishes. It's really cool. It's kind of Crusader-esque.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's like a toast type chant.
Yeah.
There's the toast, and then everyone kind of calls back.
Responds, yeah. It's a little Catholic in a way.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. It's got a liturgical flavor.
It does have a liturgical flair to it. That's what makes it cool. Yeah. Anyways,
go for it.
Okay. Take up the broken sword of your father
and strike down the darkness.
Amen. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good when it hits your lips. Is that bullet still?
I changed it up on it.
It tastes different. Yeah. What is it?
That's Michter's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Classy. See. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Nothing but the best.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing but the best for the Gosslings live stream.
And we have it in the skull decanter, which
I think we should call it the Cantor de Powell.
Right. The Cantor de Jim. Yeah.
Given to us by our Viking, our Florida dwelling Viking friend, Jim Powell. Yeah.
With the hobbit feet.
He got an awesome tattoo.
Did he really?
He did on his I believe it's his right forearm. It's a string of Nordic runes.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yep. And I know what it says, but I'm not gonna share.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
but I know what it says, and it looks awesome.
I gotta ask him about that.
Yeah.
Adam's drinking tea. Yes, good. Yeah. Yeah, we for anybody who's watching the last live stream we did it with Adam piped in, so we kind of had like a cool two-way chat going, and
it was awesome.
Yeah, and Adam was drinking, what is it, English breakfast tea?
Yeah, it was a black tea. It might have been, yeah, English breakfast.
Yeah. And Adam does it hardcore, man. He's legit English. You know, he's a proper English gentleman. Just a little bit of milk.
Nate said alcohol is decidedly Catholic.
Right. Yeah.
That's true.
Exactly.
And even like Anglican and Episcopal Anglican, they use real wine.
Do they?
Yeah, they sure do.
It's just us Protestants who use grape juice.
Yeah.
That whole temperance movement kind of, you know what? That's what happens though when like 80% of your population is of Irish heritage. It's like, look, we can't afford to let these people drink real booze. They might go storm the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
They might go hang a magistrate.
I know we've talked about this before, but if it hadn't have been for, American spirits, I don't think our soldiers would have made it through the revolution.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We needed it. Look.
Yeah.
We needed it to, make it across the river, and kill all those Hessians. So, anyways, all right. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Let's see. Topic that we chose. What was the topic?
We have a slew of different questions.
Yeah.
And what would be interesting to see here? Let's go with question number 1. Author J. Goss, what is the hardest scene or chapter or plot point to write when you're going through one of your books? Rough draft. You're in rough draft sequence. And what part of the story structure is the hardest to wrangle and deal with?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Typically, second act. Second act is always the hardest. Because like from a writing perspective, for me, and everybody's a little different, but like I typically start with a line or an idea. There's like some little seed or kernel of something. And a lot of times it's just a single sentence. A single sentence just sort of captures your imagination and opens a door that sucks you into this like Stargate vortex.
Yeah.
And that'll get you enough fuel and enough momentum to sort of get through at least like the first 50 to 100 pages, usually the first 80 pages. Like Wayfarers was like that, the 5th Heavenly Realms book. Wayfarers started out as a deconstruction of Falling Stars, like a deconstruction of the character of Melfax. I loved Melfax as a character. He was my favorite character in the series. I loved involving him anytime he showed up. He was this cool mix of a family friend, Kayward Davis, mostly Kayward, but a little bit of dad in there too, kind of that paternal figure that you don't really have in the Heavenly Realm series because everybody's kind of brothers.
Yeah.
And so some angels kind of are, in a weird way, it doesn't make sense cosmologically, but in a weird way, I fudged it to where some angels are older than others, So like you identify with Michael and maybe Gabriel and maybe Ulrach, but Melfax is like the dad Aslan kind of figure.
Yeah.
So he was always fun to write, but he was always on the periphery sort of. And so it was really cool to have like, he is.
Adam likes Melfax.
Yeah, you like Melfax. His accent for Melfax is awesome. He does like this really cool
Scottish?
No, it's almost got like a Cockney kind. It's not Cockney. Adam, tell me what the inspiration for Melfax was, because I'm really curious to know. My American ears don't, I don't know. If it's not in a movie, then I don't really know. Brian Blessed. Oh, Brian Blessed, dude.
Who's Brian Blessed? I don't know who that
is. He was Falcon guy from Flash Gordon, one of the greatest movies.
Oh, yes.
Flash Gordon,
Yeah, the big burly guy.
Dude, Brian Blessed is so awesome.
Yeah.
He's also Boss Nass in episode 1 for any of you Star Wars nerds out there.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's Boss Nass, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you take the whatever. Yeah. Anyways, that's awesome. You know what? That's perfect too, because Melfax is such a big guy, and Brian Blessed, he's not super tall, but Brian Blessed is a real thick,
burly guy.
Yeah, he's got that big burly bit. So that works out perfectly. Yeah, man, Adam, it's kind of crazy how like Adam knows my characters better than I do. Misa
like it.
Yeah.
Misa like it.
Yeah. You go through the planet core. Brian Blessed is amazing. But yeah, for me, Wayfarers started out as this character study and maybe even like a deconstruction, because I was entering into my apostasy phase, where I was starting to kind of become an atheist, which is by the way what going through ordination class with a bad pastor will do to you. And so it started out as focusing purely on Melfax through the eyes of this other angel, and that got me through honestly about 130 pages.
Wow.
It really did. That got me through about 130 pages. And then I abandoned the project for 10 years. I didn't start the project until last year. And then all through 2020, I pretty much picked it back up and finished it. Now it's like this 500-page behemoth that transformed into something totally other. I think, actually, I take that back. I think I had 80 or 90 pages in the actual manuscript. And then I, no joke, had over 130 pages of notes.
Jeez.
So I had 80 pages of a manuscript, and I had 130 pages of notes, which were random scenes, chapters, ideas, lines of dialogue. You have to keep like multiple files running when you're writing a book, a novel.
He's got boxes.
I do. I literally, it's sad.
Printed out manuscripts and stuff.
That's for when the grid goes down, Well, and two, that's the writing process. Like for me, I have to have the pages in front of me and a red pen, and that's the final editing phase, is to go through and read it out loud, especially. That really helps.
Nate says that second acts are right where you run out of momentum.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they are. Yeah, you run out of momentum in that second act, and or as you're finishing up the first act. And like with Empyrean Falling, that was always the hardest act to write, because it's like the first act is real simple. It's almost like a 24 to 48 hour story of just boom, 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 boom. This happens, this happens, this happens.
Yep.
Sequence of events. They all play off of each other. Yep. And then what your third act is, which is the war.
Yeah.
That's where like all the angels are fighting, and you get your battles, and you get like all the cool stuff that you can't wait to write. But it's that second act, like how do you get from here to this small incident?
Well, it's like half of your book at least.
It is. It becomes half the book.
In a 3-part story structure, the second act is the bulk of the book, and there's the part that the first half, the second. In a traditional 3-part story structure, the first half of the second act is where the protagonists are just kind of in survival mode. They're not really winning,
right?
They're just trying to figure out how to survive this whole thing.
And it's an information dump. All this information is coming in, and they're trying to figure everything out. And doors are opening up.
Yeah, and the second half is when they go on the attack.
Right.
But what happens in between is where I struggle.
Yeah.
When they go from survival mode to attack mode, because for me the hardest part to really engineer is when the protagonist or protagonists discover the means to accomplish the goal, meaning they figure out how they're actually going to beat the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then they feel confident to go on the attack. They come with, like in Star Wars, episode 4, like if I were writing that movie, the hardest scene for me to write would have been the scene where they're doing the briefing with the X-Wing pilots. They're talking about the exhaust and
with the data plans.
Yeah, the Death Star plans that existed all the way up in the movie up to that point.
Yeah.
But just trying to figure out how they're going to
explain actual nuts and bolts.
Yeah, like how are we going to actually go in and destroy the Death Star now?
Right.
Like that scene, I just couldn't have done
because that's not amorphous. That's not nebulous. Like you actually have to have some sort of mechanical, mathematical. It's got to make sense.
Otherwise, it's a machina.
Deus ex machina.
Yeah, Deus ex machina.
Yeah, it is.
You know, that's lame. That's lazy.
Yeah, and it is lazy, and you don't want to do that. And you know, you can kind of get away with something that looks like that. Like, spoilers for anybody who ever is interested in Empyrean Falling, in the big climactic battle at the end, it kind of is a Deus ex machina when at the end Gabriel shows up with everybody, you know, to save Michael and his little ragtag bunch of dedicated fanatical soldiers, you know. But you can get around that as a Deus ex machina, because the temptation of a Deus ex machina isn't just your get out of jail free card. It's also the catharsis that brings. And that's something that Nick and I have talked a lot about, is you have to have, unless you're writing some sort of nihilistic, subversive, postmodernist kind of novel, some, you know,
that nobody wants to read.
That nobody wants to read.
That will win all kinds of awards.
It'll win you all sorts of awards. Yeah, that'll have your name in a museum 100 years from now. You know, but unless you're writing something like that, you want catharsis. Because especially with a book, you don't want people to be invested for 500, 300, 700 pages and then not have that beautiful moment of catharsis at the end where the cavalry shows up.
Yeah.
Where something beautiful happens.
Yeah,
to
like
make somebody go like, yes!
Yeah, like at the end of Two Towers.
Yes, like at the end of Two Towers when Gandalf and
the Riders of Rohan come down
when they all just...
The sun's coming up behind them.
Dude, and they all just... Boom! Burst up over the ridge.
I'm sitting over there on the couch trying to hold back like
I know.
tears.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry big man tears. No. I know. You know what's funny is, like, as a dude, by the way, that is what will make you cry. Like, like chicks cry at romantic stuff, you know, but dudes, we all get really misty at like those moments of like heroic catharsis.
Absolutely.
When the hero kicks in the door and he's like, I'm here to save, that Jesus moment, man. I'm here to save everybody.
Yeah.
You know, that's what really gets you. Yeah. And like, so, yeah, you can get away with something that feels like a Deus Ex Machina if you front load, if you do the Chekhov's gun thing.
Sure.
You know, the Chekhov's gun thing is if there's a gun on the table throughout the whole play, then at the end of the play, somebody better use the gun.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can do that if you plant the seeds on the front end, which is a good thing about, like, George Martin talked about that with like people guessing his like secrets to his books, you know, people guessing the stuff to, like, you know, and then he's like, well, you can't just, if you've been like planting the seed that the butler did it the whole time, you can't, if somebody figures out in a forum somewhere that the butler did it before you write the book where the butler is revealed to have done it, you can't just like derail and say the maid did it.
Yeah.
You have to still move forward, or else you're betraying your own work.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point, because, which is something, by the way, that the showrunners for Game of Thrones did not abide by, and we all know how that turned out.
Okay.
Not good. but like, you know, so in Empyrean Falling, when that thing with Gabriel shows up, looks like a Deus Ex Machina, it's like, yeah, but it's not, because all throughout the series there have been multiple moments where Gabriel has been shown to be holding back, to be not throwing in his force, afraid to lose his angels, afraid to have his friends die, you know, afraid to commit, you know, and it comes to a head a couple times in conversations. But then so you can take what ultimately kind of in a way is a Deus Ex Machina with him showing up at the end.
Yeah.
But you can transform it into a character arc. So like a Deus Ex Machina, a good example of a Deus Ex Machina is in Game of Thrones at the Battle of the Bastards in season, I think 6, maybe. Something like that, 6 or 7, when Jon Snow is fighting Ramsay Bolton. And then at the end, Sansa shows up with the giant army, the army from wherever, it doesn't matter. That kind of is a Deus Ex Machina, because there's no preamble, there's no planning before, there's no seedlings planted to sort of give that, you know. But Empyrean Falling, I did the same thing, but there are seeds along the way, you know, and so you can get away with a Deus Ex Machina. You just have to like turn it into a character arc instead of just a moment of catharsis.
Gotcha.
But
gotcha.
But yeah, man, that second act is the hardest part to do
for sure,
because that's the filling in the Oreo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may not be like the tastiest part really in a way, so the metaphor breaks down, but you can't. There's no point in having the two cookies without the stuff in the middle.
Yeah,
and it's like, how do you get from there to there?
I'm in that part. So the book I'm writing right now, the Travelers League book,
the
Hoppus Chronicles, coming in April. It's going to be great. I'm in that part of the story. I'm in.
He's super excited about the Hoppus Chronicles, by the way, and it sounds awesome.
It is great. It's great. But I'm under the gun. I have to have it. I have to get through the second half of the second act and Act 3 this week. I have a lot to write.
Wow.
Like this week to get it to editing and all that in time to have actual books by.
Do you budget do you set a page number like a general approximate page number and then budget your page time? Sort of like a movie. How people will say, an executive will say, yeah, I want a 2-hour movie. You know, and then you think, okay, well, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 has to be a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah,
because minutes are pages, basically, in books.
Yeah, I measure it by word count, not page count, because my pages are small.
Right.
My pages are small. You know, what might be, 3 pages for you would end up being like 12 pages for me.
I was looking to see if you had.
They're 5x8s. They're up there on the top shelf by the Parrot.
Oh, okay.
But they're they're small print books. But most of my Travelers League books are around 30,000 words, and so I give myself a month to write, and I don't write on the weekends. So I try to do 1,500 words a day, 1,000 to 1,500 words. I try to make the chapters short and have a lot of short chapters. It's a kid's book. Fire and Chaos.
See, there you go.
So I try to do about 1,500 words a day, and if I do that and maybe add a little extra, maybe spend the lunch break.
Oh yeah.
Or do a little bit after the kids go to sleep. I know I can knock it out this week, but I can't do like anything else. Like there's nothing else. Yeah. Pictures in there. Really great.
Who did your illustrations?
A girl by the name of, what is her name? She's out of Portland.
Okay.
Tara Fall.
Faul.
Faul. Yeah. Tara Fall. She's an artist out of Portland.
Surviving in Portland.
Yeah, surviving. Bless her heart. Yeah.
So so that's interesting. So you treat it as more of a word count issue than a page issue.
Yeah.
That's a smart way to do it because that frees you up to not strain under the stricture of I need this to be a 10-page chapter. And that also is probably smarter, honestly, than like how I do it, which typically is like I need a 10-page chapter because the pages aren't as important as the words. And so if you're focusing on the word count, that's what the reader has to deal with. That's what the reader has to ingest.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a smart way to do it because then you can budget dialogue versus description versus action, pace. You can kind of figure out how to snake your way through those 3 or 4 different parameters that you have to work
and
with.
Switching between description and dialogue is this book I've been trying to make a lot more dialogue heavy than at least the first 2 books in the Travelers League.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's more enjoyable to read dialogue than description.
It's
but I had to do a lot of description in the first book because that really describes all the worlds. Well, and it's just one kid going through all these worlds. So there is dialogue. There's plenty of dialogue, but it's not dialogue heavy. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? I can tell a story and explain characters and personalities by just letting them have dialogue together. Yeah. That dialogue and action. Yeah. That's all that most, at least middle grade readers want.
Well, and that's probably, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like dialogue moves faster than description. It keeps the pace going it picks up the pace a little bit. So people are able to absorb more and have more fun. But especially when it's your first book, you do have to focus on some form of description, especially in a book like that, where like the timepiece is kind of like, thank you, because I know I'm neglecting that.
Yeah, no problem.
The timepiece is a lot, in a way, like the never-ending story. It's a normal, everyday kid who kind of gets through happenstance or orchestration, gets introduced into this elaborate fantasy world, and you can explain things through dialogue, but that's kind of cheating in a way, to be honest with you. You can throw a few lines of dialogue in here, like, oh yeah, that's the 12 o'clock world. That's really weird for this read. But you don't want to, that's telling, not showing.
Yeah.
Yep. And you still have to show.
Yep.
But you don't want, like, the first draft of Empyrean Falling, the like 1147 page draft. I remember, like, one of the only positive feedbacks I got, and it was like such a left-handed compliment, was from a reporter friend, a journalist friend of mine, who said that, like, wow, your descriptions are really good. Which is great, but that also means that, like,
well, as so just, I wonder if it's a thing, like, where writers, they enjoy the description part. I think the author enjoys the description part, but usually they're the only ones who enjoy the description part.
Yeah.
Like, but that's where we feel like we're shining.
A lot of times it is, especially as a new writer. You feel like, I think it's born out of insecurity.
Mine is.
I know mine was, looking back on it. I absolutely know mine was, because I thought in order for the reader to understand what I had in my mind, I had to describe all of this in intricate detail. But really, the truth is, most readers can, like, give the reader credit. That's a big fundamental law of the writing universe. Give the reader credit. And if the reader doesn't get it, well, somebody out there does, and that creates a level of discovery for the readers who don't. There have been so many times where I was like, I don't get this, and then I read on a forum somewhere what I wasn't getting, and it elevated my level of respect for the writer. As a result.
It's cool.
And so you want to blend description and dialogue and pace and action and all that kind of stuff, but there is this insecurity of, like, I have to describe every little thing for the reader, but you really don't. The reader's going to get it. And really, also, you kind of want to approach it from a utilitarian. It's fun to build the world, but the world will build itself through your actions, through the plot. Like, if you don't want to spend forever doing a Tolkien thing where you're describing every tree and, hill and the history of every knoll and dell, an old broken tower, but it's like your narrative is a focused beam through all this surrounding information that is showing what your characters are going through. Describe what is relevant to the narrative. So, like, in Empyrean Falling, there's all these different locations, but you really only need to know about maybe half a dozen of them, because they're the only ones that are relevant to the story. I mean, you could spend forever talking about all these different things, but it's like, why? Like, what does this really serve the story, And that's kind of something that you can use to help fight against the overwhelming burden of description. And at some point, as a writer, you can get to a point where you say to yourself, like, you even feel the burden of description. And if you feel the burden of description, guaranteed the reader will feel the burden
Absolutely.
of description.
Nate made a good point. He said you can make a whole book with just dialogue.
Yeah, you really can.
Yeah. And then and Adam says he loves the dialogue, especially when narrating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it gives more chances for Adam to really shine, especially. Yeah. Adam really seems to enjoy the battles and everything, which is a huge compliment, because battles are either, like, they'll make or break a book. If you don't know how to do battles, man, and battles are tough. They're really not easy to do. But Adam really is able to excel in the dialogue, primarily because he's able to do so many different accents, And so, so you have the second act issue too, huh?
I have second actism.
Next question.
If you go back to
next question, whatever. Act 2, next question. It's my Judah Friedlander thing. For any of you Nick Mullen fans out there.
Here we go. If there's another Nick in your life?
Well, I don't know him personally, so it's okay.
Okay. All right.
You're the only Nick in my life.
Thank you. If you could write for any pre-existing IP, what would it be?
Yeah.
If someone called you representing existing IP and said, "We need you to write for us,"
Star Wars. It'd have to be Star Wars. Primarily because I did.
Because you spent time doing it, right?
Yeah, I did. I wrote
some fan fiction, right?
I did. I wrote two things back in my like high school days. And the golden age of PC gaming was right in that time when I was going through high school. Mm-hmm. So like 97 to 2001. Mm-hmm. And we played typewriter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I started writing. I never really finished it. I probably got about 60 pages in. I was writing a book about TIE fighter pilots and like everything that they went through aboard their Star Destroyer. Cool. Yeah. Cool. And I mean, it was pure. It was like Starship Troopers. It was just pure military fan fiction. And then I wrote this, after episode 1 came out, I wrote a movie script called Revenge of the Sith that was set 1,000 years after Return of the Jedi. And it was about like these 4 or 5 Jedi finding like these 4 or 5 Sith who had uncovered. It was like set far in the future and like there are no warships.
Yeah.
So like what would happen if you were in the Star Wars universe? The Jedi and the Sith still existed, but there were no Star Destroyers, there were no Nebulan B frigates, there were no calamari cruisers, there was none of this stuff. But then somewhere out in the asteroid belt or somewhere in the unknown regions, the Sith dug up a Corellian Corvette, which is like, it's the Tantive 4. It's the smallest, it's a nothing ship, right? Like in the normal Star Wars power structure, a Corellian Corvette is nothing. But if you're in an age where there are no warships with no turbo lasers or anything, all of a sudden that's like your Death Star. And it was all about trying to stop them, and there were all these Jedi fights, and cool. it was really fun. It was really cool.
That's really cool.
I would love to actually make that. That would be a really fun movie. Yeah. So, what about you?
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to kids fiction, I mean, everyone thinks Harry Potter.
You're right. Yeah, Harry Potter. Yeah.
Which is, cool. I'm just not as familiar with that as I probably should be. If I could do any franchise, I would write Godfather Part 4. Mario Puzo.
Godfather Part 4.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See you, Nate. Thanks for stopping by, bud.
See you later, Nate. Care. Thanks for watching, man.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Yeah, I'd definitely go into Godfather Part 4.
Really?
Or maybe, they did a prequel. Part 2 is like a prequel. Or maybe just something during that time.
Yeah.
During that time, yeah. I think it's just.
When was the Godfather set? Was it set in the 50s?
Well, Godfather, the first movie was set in the 40s.
Okay.
And then the second one was set in the 50s and 60s with flashbacks.
That's right.
To late 1800s and then Prohibition era.
Yeah.
And then number 3 was set in the 70s.
So would you set Part 4? What would you do with Godfather Part 4?
No idea.
Really?
I would figure it out.
Okay.
I would totally figure it out.
Would you want to continue the progression and show it in like the 80s and 90s and do like a Sopranos kind of thing?
Yeah,
where it's
like that.
Old school gangsters trying to survive in a real world environment or a current day environment?
Well, I think that's been done a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of gangster movies that are supposed to be quote unquote, modern.
That's kind of the gangster motif now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. They're like the OGs, unfortunately stuck in the present time.
Yeah.
Wishing that things could be like they used to be and still trying to operate that way.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd do it.
Or you could do a World War II thing, set it during the mid 40s, play around with that. Do like an American gangster kind of thing, how they could capitalize on World War II.
Yep.
Contraband.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. See, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't just go right to like, I would just do a Teddy Roosevelt.
Well, I just enjoyed the movie so much. I enjoyed the saga of the family. It's so good.
Oh yeah, the lineage.
But that's fiction and fantasy for me. But like you want to talk about, people, icons that I respect, absolutely, Teddy Roosevelt is up there. He authored, he wrote more than any other president.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, he was prolific.
What did he write? Just treatises on stuff, or what?
Yeah,
commentary.
He wrote a naval warfare manual.
Really?
Yeah. That is still used in
education
in the Naval Academy. I can't remember what it's called, both in the U.S. and in the UK.
Did he really?
Yeah. It's still used at the Naval Academy.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a big deal. And he was. He wrote everything. He wrote
hunting guides and stuff like Okay.
Obviously biographies and memoirs and those things too. But he was a huge naturalist even as a child. So just journals full of stuff. He wrote about his travels. He wrote that naval guide. He was a poet. He wrote poetry.
Did he really?
He was. Oh yeah.
Wow, very self-actualized.
Yeah, yes.
See,
very much so.
And that's why Teddy Roosevelt is, I think, especially in like conservative and libertarian, that kind of logos-driven culture, he's so lionized, and justifiably so. Mm-hmm. Is because he is kind of that, almost that Ayn Randian kind of Ubermensch kind of, there's no limits to what you can achieve if you really just throw yourself into it kind of thing. He overcame, poor health. He overcame bad politics.
Yep.
He overcame bullets.
Yeah.
The dude was, he was killer.
Yeah.
And it's, I think it's almost like if you could encapsulate the Americana, the American spirit into one single person.
Definitely him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's really hard to think of somebody else who really encapsulates Americana more than Teddy Roosevelt. Nowadays it's like everybody always glorifies Ronald Reagan. He's sort of like the Moses of the conservative, but
conservative Moses.
I know, but really it's Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And
Reagan's one of my favorites too. I admire the man, but
sure,
Teddy Roosevelt is more than iconic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right. He represents. It's hard for Reagan to represent every man.
Yeah.
Roosevelt was accomplished. He had a rich experience of life. In all facets.
Yeah, and that's a good way of putting it. A rich experience of life. Yeah. See, I'm telling you, that's what he'll do at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah. He'll go spend 6 months back in Idaho at some point. And
have some fantasy conversation with Teddy Roosevelt, and he just irons out all my problems, and I just try to struggle with can I actually do that? Right. I know I should do it, but can I?
You know how it'll happen.
Basically, him just slapping me around.
Just do it. Yeah, just giving you a patent. Yeah. What'll happen is Nick will go on vacation back to Idaho for like a Christmas or something.
Yeah.
He'll go out to the bar with his brothers out there, and he'll maybe have a little too much and run into some friends who maybe are some Native Americans, and then he'll wind up in a teepee at some point, and he'll have some peyote, and the next thing you know, well, see, sober Nick is saying this, but but I'm not a. Yeah,
that's a little
Yeah,
not peyote.
See, he says that now, but you get like half a bottle of bullet.
You'd have to slip something in my beverage.
Next thing you know, he's sitting there in a teepee in a sweat lodge with Teddy Roosevelt,
smearing red paint across my face and my chest.
Going native, dances with wolves.
Going native. Yeah, you get a point there. If they sit me down and force me to watch Dances with Wolves, I'll probably end up taking my shirt off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick did have a teepee, by the way, and he brought it out here one year, and it was the coolest thing. I still vividly remember that summer. Yeah,
that was fun.
That was so awesome. Yeah. I remember sitting in that teepee, like building it and then hanging out in it and like watching the moths all in the top. And I don't think Mom and Dad let us have an actual fire at the teepee, did they?
I don't think so. It's unfortunate. And it was only 8 feet across the bottom.
When you're tiny, when you're a kid, it's massive.
Yeah, it's like, there's room for a fire in here. There wasn't room for
No. Not our fire. Whatever kind of fire we were going to build.
No, we don't build small fires.
No, we build giant trash fires You know,
we build threats to public safety.
We build HOA violations.
That's what we built.
Yeah.
You
got a little fire there. Well, good for you. Yeah, that's gonna be a ticket.
We discard our Christmas trees by chopping them up and burning one little piece at a time because they're highly flammable. They've been drying out in our living rooms for over a month.
Yeah.
And so we, when Christmas is over, we take them down, we cut the limbs off, we throw a little bit in at a time. And we learned to do that because the first Christmas we decided to do that, we just thought, just throw the tree in the fire.
Was this at the big house?
This is the big house. The fire.
This is when we
I brought my tree over. We got a fire going, and I drug the Christmas tree into the backyard. Big stone fire ring. It was like
we built it. It was really cool.
It was like 4 or 5 feet across. It was a good size. And so we just we threw the whole tree on top of the fire.
Yeah.
The fire, and whoosh.
Yeah. In fact, whoosh has become the phrase that we use around here for like lighter fluid or anything because
it exploded. The sparks and embers that the wind was picking up and blowing across the neighborhood.
The neighborhood of multi-million-dollar homes.
Man.
$800,000 homes.
I thought this is it.
This is right. This is how we all go to jail.
This is it. It's over. The dream is ended.
Mom and Dad are gonna get kicked out.
You know,
we're gonna be in jail.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna see your kids again.
God was with us.
Yeah.
That time.
Was that the time when we had to go grab the water hose with the sprinklers? I think there was maybe another time where
there may have been another time.
I think that was during the summer.
I went into almost panicked.
Yeah.
Almost panicked. It crossed that moment, and it's only happened this one time where you realize that it is out of your control.
Right.
It's out of your control.
And what has just happened, you can't undo.
Yep, can't be undone.
Yep.
And fortunately, it burned out quickly, and there were no phone calls or sirens or nothing caught on fire. Amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing caught on fire.
But you know what was funny about that neighborhood? I remember when we would do landscaping in the backyard, just like in the summer, just cleaning up, trimming tree limbs and stuff, and just generally just gathering up. I would always build a fire and just burn the stuff, because why not? I mean, what are you going to do? Like bag it up and pay somebody to come pick it up? Like just burn it every time for like 2 or 3 years in a row. Every summer we did that. And we didn't have like a really big fire when we would do this, unlike the Christmas tree. Like, but somebody.
I was all me. That was all my fault. I take full responsibility.
But every time,
because nothing bad happened.
But the irony of it is, every time we did those little landscaping brush fires, like I would always hear sirens in the neighborhood, but the fire department could never find us. Like every time, every single time.
That's because you do them at night. They can't see the smoke.
No. This was during the day.
Oh, really?
This was during the day, and we'd be out there, sweating in the summertime with our gloves and everything, and pulling limbs and chopping stuff up and gathering up, crap that had fallen in the yard and everything, and burning it, and every time, dude, we would do this, and sure enough, half an hour later, someone had called it in, been like, someone's making a fire, and the fire department would roll up because they lived about half a mile down the road, and or they were stationed half a mile down the road, but they could never find us.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, but the one time we actually did have a fire that threatened, the safety and well-being of the neighborhood, no one said it.
Yeah,
there were no sirens anywhere,
and that was at night.
And at a night,
and it was very visible.
Right, very obvious what we were doing.
It was like a beacon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
a beacon of tomfoolery.
Of Goss. Tomfoolery, of Goss foolery.
Lighting it like only a Goss can light it.
Yep.
Man.
Well, you want to do another topic?
Yeah, let's do another question. Number 3, if you could go back and change anything, what would it be?
Oh, man. I'll let you take the lead on that one.
I can go back and change it. Well, for me, that's easy. I would have started doing this, at 25.
Really?
Not 40.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, back then there wasn't self-publishing, but there was still writing.
Right.
Has been a thing for a while.
Right. Yeah.
I would have started writing earlier if I don't know. I wish I had started writing earlier.
Really?
I wish I had started writing fiction.
Well, that's the interesting thing about Nick. Like, Nick is like your wild card in a lot of ways. Like he'll never give himself this kind of credit, but I'll give him credit for this. Nick is a real trailblazer. Like as like type A personality as I am still woefully conservative in a lot of my approaches to life and things that I do. But like Nick is the one who built a sailboat. Nick is the one who out of nowhere decided to turn his garage into a tiki lounge. Nick is like he's got this professor's sort of experimental mentality to him, this adventuresome spirit that's pretty cool. And like, I mean, truly out of nowhere, dude, all of a sudden, like Nick is like, yeah, I got a book coming out. Like, what? Like, what do you mean you got a book coming out? Like, I've been writing for 20 years. And you have published something? Like
I only did it because my wife told me to.
Yeah, well, like a smart man, like a smart husband.
No, well, I appreciate that. I think I've always been eccentric.
Yeah,
and I'm used to looking like an idiot, so I'm not afraid to look like an idiot.
That homeschool gene is just
kicking in. And those are the things that actually worked,
right?
But there are a ton of things that did not work, and I still look like an idiot.
That's true, right? Well, and I don't know about those things, but I will tell you, like that is a healthy approach to being a trailblazer and to being an experimental scientist of sorts. Is you do have to be willing to fail.
Yeah.
You do have to be willing to try a bunch of stuff that's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna know it's not gonna work until you've sunk a bunch of time and or money into it.
And self-respect.
Right, and dignity.
Right.
Yeah, and you're one step away from just that's that project, that's that project, that's that project.
This is the boat. This is when I was a PI. This
right.
is when I wanted to start a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
And if you dig hard enough, and somebody will at some point when you're popular, when you're like super big, if you dig hard enough, you can find vestigial elements on the internet, I'm sure, of Nick's prior lives. Residue, yeah. little DNA footprints.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, trailblazer. That's high praise.
No, it really.
That's high praise.
Yeah, no, it really is, because like that really is the truth, because it really was the kind of thing where out of nowhere, like Nick and I have always been into a lot of the same things. Into sailing and pirates, and I mean, gosh, as kids back in the 80s and early 90s, we loved going on the sailboats and the pirate ships and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, all this kind of stuff that I'm talking about is a natural progression for Nick, but it wasn't something that had a lot of buildup. It's like, at least not externally.
Right.
It's like one day he just comes to you and it's like, hey, I'm thinking about turning my garage into a tiki lounge. Like, how long have you been sitting on this, dude?
Yeah, there's this whole evolution
that goes on in here,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And ekes its way out in the most bizarre ways.
But that's how it looks to everybody else. But on your end, it's probably years or months of
and it's like the natural result of everything I've been thinking about and daydreaming and fantasizing about and wanting to do, and finally just maybe squirreling away enough money to maybe do a little bit of it just to test it out. And then this garage took me like a year and a half, almost 2 years to put together.
This is a big project.
So
it worked out perfectly though. I don't know if, well, you can see it in the Travelers League videos. I think, Adventures. You can see more of it than just what you see here. But
you're basically seeing the entire garage right now. This camera and the computer screen is literally up against my garage door.
Right.
But my garage door is covered with a movie screen with red curtains, and I got a projector up there.
Really cool.
So, but this is it. It's a single car garage, and you can basically see everything.
Yeah. You didn't really waste any space. I mean, even the garage door.
There's none to waste.
Racks. Right. Yeah. Well, he's very efficient. But Nick made up for lost time, I guess, ultimately is what I'm getting at. Is
I appreciate that.
Nick made up for lost time, and in the past, let's see, 2 years? You've only been writing for 2 years.
28, 3 years. 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So for the past 3 years that Nick is writing at 43 now, he has done as much as I did in probably 10 years. Like what took me 10 years to figure out from 17 to 27, Nick kind of figured out in about a year and a half to 2 years. And I've watched it. I've watched it happen. I've been there on ground zero for the brainstorming sessions of Henry Half Moon.
Yeah.
I've watched him go through all the, the highs and lows of the Travelers League series. I've watched Hacker Jack develop. I mean,
he's had to sit and listen to me.
Yeah.
Talk and bemoan and whine about all.
You're welcome. You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
Homeschool parents, who are never going to watch this. No, but it's been really cool. And I mean, that is, so as much as you like wish you had started earlier, and you're probably right to want to start, to have that desire.
Yeah.
Honestly, from an outsider's perspective, who as an outsider's perspective, but an insider on the craft of writing, successfully or unsuccessfully or otherwise, I will say that like you have done an incredible amount in a short amount of time. I mean, most people get the idea to write somewhere in their 20s and they think that they can do it, and then they languish for the better part of like 4 years. I mean, and I know some people who are incredibly smart, incredibly talented, and gifted people who still have not finished their first book, and it's been like a decade.
Yeah.
And they're probably like 30, early 30s, maybe something like that. So I get it, but that is the good thing. One, about being older, and two, about when you start older, you probably have a family. So your time is precious. So when you compartmentalize your time, you say to yourself, okay, I only have an hour or 2 hours every morning or every night to work on this project.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just fiddle fart around and throw darts at the,
right.
You're going to really get in there and get stuck in and make a bloody mess of things one way or the other. Start carving things up, So
I miss my dartboard now. Thanks.
Oh yeah, the dartboard.
It was in the middle of that wall. It used to be right there, where my thumb is, and it was beautiful. But it got hard, rock hard. Couldn't stick anything to it.
Let's see. Now I know what to get him for Christmas. So that's perfect. See, I see what he did. I know what he's doing.
You know what I was gonna do? I was gonna get some of that cool like bamboo weave matting.
That
you see like on tiki and like Polynesian type, and I'm gonna put it like on that wall back there. And then around the bar, the wall behind the bar. But every time we make one of these videos, I'm like,
I know the star background.
That's such a cool background, though. I don't know if I want to ruin that.
I know you got to have it in a way where you can take it down every time, once a week.
I might just save my money, not do. I might do it just behind the bar.
Oh yeah, that is really cool because you do get this like this starry night, tropical expanse that's sitting right.
It's hard to see because the main light's on. Let me turn that off.
The main light. Yeah, you can kind of see the stars. Okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Let's see.
Let's do it. This makes it a little bit. There, now it pops a little more.
Oh yeah, you can see the swirls a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah, it's neat.
That's better.
That's
what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
By the way, timestamp 53 minutes is where the light changes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But, no, I appreciate it. What about you? So if you could go back and do anything different, what would it be?
I think I probably would have. I think I probably would have rewritten from the ground up. I don't know how I would have done it. Triptych Codex.
Started with that one.
I don't think I don't. Well, I kind of, in a way, I did start with that one because while I had started Empyrean Falling, Triptych Codex was ultimately just a research project of 3 different journals because I had over 70 characters. So that I could figure out where I could map out where everybody was during the actual war. So that it was all supplemental material that was like satellite material to the main story. So that when I went to write Act 3, which is the actual war of Empyrean Falling, I could say, oh, I can't have Michael be here because according to the Journal of Lantheron, he's over here. I can't have this chapter. I can't have Melfax go over here because in his journal, he's written about being over here. It's sort of that kind of thing. So you make sure that, and it allowed me to, it was good for what it was, because it was a research tool that allowed me to map out where all the characters were and what the battles were and what was happening in a way that almost it didn't count in the main story, but it operated like background machinery to help keep everything functioning. So that when I went to write the main story, I knew how to navigate and weave through. But the actual prose, the actual writing at times very much reads like a 18-year-old wrote it, because an 18-year-old did write it.
Right, yeah, understood.
And if I could go back and hit the redo button on one thing, I don't know how I would do it. And that's ultimately one reason, honestly, why I didn't bother is like, it's like, gosh, I got to go back and do this again. I got to retread this same material again, but I have to say it differently. Like sometimes it's a little too daunting of a project to take on, even though you want to do it. And maybe that in a way it kind of needs to be done, but you're just thinking to yourself, like, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. You don't want to fall into that George Lucas trap of constantly reworking, and H.P. Lovecraft kind of did this too on a thematic level of constantly reworking the same story, of tweaking the same thing obsessively. It's like you just gotta let it go, man. Just absolutely let it go. I think that's probably the only thing, without having to really spend a lot of time thinking about it, that's the only thing that really jumps to mind as far as what I would really change is just the actual prose. I don't think the story or anything, but just the prose of Triptych Codex is not up to. It's not the same level as what you get with Grey Aegis. Like Nick and I were talking about this earlier before we got started. We were laughing about like how, the Timepiece and Empyrean Falling are both the first books in a series. Yeah, and it's like if you want to get in on the series, everybody's going to start with that book.
Yeah, that's the one they're going to buy first, right?
That's the one they're going to buy first.
That's the one they're
going to read first or listen to first. Yep. And the irony of it is that's the least well written. Yeah. It's the crappiest one of all the books. Right. So Nick and I were laughing about it, like how it's like you just want to tell them, like, I know, but just get to book 2. Just get to book whatever. Like
Nate says, I can't stand rewriting, and I don't plan on doing it.
Yeah, rewriting sucks, man. It's really tough.
I would rather, maybe this sounds lazy, but I feel it's rather forward thinking. I'd rather just start a brand new series. Yeah. Than go back and rewrite and rebrand and recover and do all those things.
I'll give you a better answer than Triptych Codex. I wish, and I'm making up, and I'm actually doing that exact thing with Roman Coke and the Sasquatch Lips. I wish that I had incorporated the gap theory element of Lucifer reigning over Earth into Empyrean Falling. If I could have done anything different, I would have had Lucifer in charge of Earth, and then him, making all these hybrids and working all these things, and then his ego getting too big for him and telling that story as opposed to just the pure jealousy story. Gotcha. Because that's such an interesting thing to really delve into. But like you say, you can just start a new series. Yeah. And course correct that and still get to play with all that material.
Still use a lot of those same elements. Yeah. Just in a new series, new characters. Yeah.
I think
just brand it differently.
That's the trick, man. That's a hard thing because it's like you want your cake and eat it too, but you have to pick something, and you can't overload it. You can't do what Matt Stone and Trey Parker call having a hat on a hat. You can only wear one hat. You wear one hat, you're cool. You wear 2 hats, you have a hat on a hat, you look really dumb. It's weird and no one wants it, So you can't have a hat on a hat, but
unless you're a pirate and then have a bandana with a tricorn on top of your bandana.
Yeah, bandana, tricorn.
Pirates are cool.
And then a parrot. Yeah, pirates can get away with anything. That's why they're pirates. Yeah. They don't play by the rules, baby.
No.
Rules. Yeah. Well, that's the fun thing about the Travelers League too, is that like Nick got to indulge his pirate.
Big time.
He got to scratch the pirate itch.
Yes.
You know?
Yep, sure did. Sure did. Pirates of Skoogie, book 4. Yeah. It was great. I basically took the Travelers League, which is a group of kids, all do-gooders. And I said, I'm going to create another group of kids that are not do-gooders whatsoever, and they decide that they're going to be pirates.
Sort of like the Lost Boys under Rufio, but a little harder.
Yeah.
A little harder.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Hook, actually, I think Hook really informed our love of.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of great things to love about Hook. Dustin Hoffman's portrayal of the character.
Yeah.
Maggie Smith, who plays
Maggie Smith is
she
in
plays
that. Yeah.
Wendy as an old lady.
Man.
Maggie Smith. I've talked about her.
I know. We all love Maggie Smith. Who do you think you go on an old lady date with sooner, Maggie Smith or Helen Mirren? That's a tough one. I bet you he'd still choose Maggie Smith.
I would. Yeah. I would. You know what
And he's not even a Harry Potter, like he's not a big Harry Potter guy, so he's not even like McGonagall.
No,
you know?
I love.
She's just cool.
Yeah, I mean, she was McGonagall
or Judi Dench.
No, still, and I love Judi Dench, but no, still.
Adam, which one would you choose?
Yeah,
if it came down to like Maggie Smith, you can go on an old lady date. Maggie Smith, Judi Dench, or Helen Mirren. All 3 elderly British.
Now you throw Judge Judy in there, I'm going to change my answer because I'm all about some Judge Judy.
Yeah,
that's my crush right there, man.
Who doesn't love that old?
Bring your gavel. That's all I'm telling you.
They call me the gavel. That's awesome. Yeah, good.
Oh, Adam would go with Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren. Yeah, you know what, man? Right. Yeah, I mean, she was pretty good in Excalibur. I gotta say, you know, that's a classic.
She's got a lot of stuff.
If you want to talk about like a classic movie, at least from my perspective, what seems like a classic English movie, Excalibur. I mean, it's like, you know, it's Arthurian legend. It's all of these Arthurian actors, or all of these British actors, and it's knights, it's fighting, it's just like it's everything you want, you know. Yeah, Excalibur, baby.
Nate says he doesn't understand why that got deleted. What got deleted?
I don't know.
Did Excalibur get deleted?
I don't think so.
Like take it off of.
I don't know. Did it get? Nah, there's no way. There's no way that got ratioed at this point. No.
Everything's getting canceled now.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, seriously. Well, speaking of getting canceled, you want to do our typewriter one-off and see how much trouble we can get into?
Let's do it.
Yeah? Because I know we're going to get into trouble with mine. I wrote this 2 weeks ago, and I almost read it last week, but yeah.
All right. So. Let's do it. Let's see who goes first.
All right.
Let's see. He
above comment?
An above comment. Well, I didn't delete any of your comments. I would never do that.
I don't know. I don't think we deleted anything, man.
No. Not sure what happened there.
I don't know.
Keep an eye on that.
I don't know. All right. Well, we are, but just so you guys know who are watching this, we are doing this through Restream. So I think there might be is there a little bit of delay, or is it pretty
tiny
1-to-1?
It's a
1-to-1.
Tiniest bit video delay.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't have any moderators or anybody watching or anybody monitoring comments. So I don't know, man. I don't know what happened to that. We didn't touch anything. So
interesting.
Yeah, it might be a hiccup in the Restream thing.
Yeah.
But we're seeing we're not watching this through YouTube. We're watching this through Restream's website, which is awesome. Nick was kind enough to spring for this so he could.
I did.
Are we doing this through Fringe Mythology?
We're on Fringe Mythology too right now.
Fringe Mythology. Yeah. Hey everyone.
Yep.
We're on Fringe Mythology also, which is on Facebook. You guys should, if you're watching this through YouTube, you should check out Nick's Fringe Mythology page. And if you're watching this on Fringe Mythology through Facebook, check out Nick's Travelers League page.
Well, and the Heavenly Realms YouTube channel.
Yeah, the Heavenly Realms YouTube channel. Yeah, if you're interested in headaches. So no, I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, all right. So let's go ahead and
see who goes first.
All right. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Oh man, see, he's still got that magic.
Got that, got that witchcraft.
He's got that. I know. He's got that witchcraft. That Nick craft. By the way, I did start watching clips from that movie, The Craft. a while ago, over the weekend.
The Craft.
The Witch movie from the 90s with Fairuza Balk.
I never saw it.
It's a big, like, gothy, everybody. Anyways, it's all about a coven of witches, and it's like the witch movie. Apparently. Like real witch movie, and it's actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. It's really interesting. Anyways,
you start talking about witches, my nose starts itching a little bit. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Stop talking about witches.
By the way, for anybody who's tuning in, who's either like tuning in for the first time or who's catching this after we do our live stream, typewriter one-offs are every week Nick and I write one page on our typewriters. We have these Royal Quiet Deluxe old school typewriters. I'll grab it.
Yeah, grab it. Yeah, so they can see.
And so we write on these guys, and this really kind of changes up how you write. It's really interesting. It's a cool little experiment. You can get these on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or Craigslist for I mean, nothing, like $50, $60, usually not more than $100, and they work really well. There are tons of people who still work on them. There are tons of different typewriters to get, but just like the smack and clatter of
little demonstration.
Yeah. Let's. It's David Sedaris was very accurate when he talked about how like the smack and clatter of using a typewriter is very different than something like a word processor or a computer. And the other thing is, because you really feel like you're building something. The other thing is, these are obviously old school dummy technology, and there's nothing, unlike a computer, there's no extra tab for Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or Amazon. There's nothing to distract you. It's just you're purely zoned in, you know, and you do have to change up how you type, obviously. Like you have to hunt and peck, you know.
Oof. Getting excited just listening. I just flipped the ribbon in that too.
And the action on this is smooth.
I know.
That's a cool thing about typewriters, man. Like, it's so hipsterish to like go with something like this, but I hate hipsters. We
are not hipsters.
No, but I will tell you, like,
well, there's also something
this
that's
is cool,
satisfying about writing on a typewriter that you know it's not something you're going to upload to Amazon. It's not something that you're going to have printed in a book.
Yeah.
And so when you're writing on a typewriter, you are writing just to write and nothing else.
Yeah.
There's no motives. There's no other intentions.
There's no agenda. It's just pure. It's just like pure writing.
Except writing something to read on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, I mean, we've talked about like maybe at some point publishing, you know, compiling these one-offs into a book. I don't know, you know, it's down the road. Who knows what we'll come up with, but I really did think about it, man. I really did think about writing like maybe Sasquatch or, you know, something else just purely on the typewriter, just because it does change your voice a little bit. Yeah. You don't really have the mulligan thing where you can't just go back and redo a whole paragraph. Mm-hmm. It's just you just have to keep going and work with what you have, and it forces you to plan a little bit more, to focus more.
Absolutely, and
it feels more gratifying. And it's very pure. You know?
You feel like you've worked in a weird way too. Yeah, just scoot forward.
Right there. Everybody can
prized possessions.
Yeah, dude, they are pretty cool. So, all right. Anyways, well, so here's my typewriter one-up. We do these every week, just one page, ostensibly, unless I get a little long-winded, and then we read them on air, and they're just typically they're just one single story, right?
Yep, like just a scene, a one-page story or a scene.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, well, here's mine. He knew what he was. He wore a dress, had his license changed, and passed laws that would get you fired, deplatformed, unpersoned, silenced, or worse, if you didn't call him what he wanted you to call him for the sake of his deranged, subversive, degenerate lunacy and his woefully pathetic, fragile ego. But deep down inside, past the layers of flubber, hairy body fat that he forced women to wax, the implants and the surgery scars, he knew what he was. A freak, a demon, a corrupter of children and defiler of all that was good and holy. He hid behind the Luciferian veneer of love and light, weeping as a rape victim at the cruelty of the king's people. How could they preach his love and yet not accept him just the way he was? So he liked to self-mutilate and promote the same in children. Was this not his truth? Was it not society's job to protect him, to force others to bend to his will and cater to his fancies? Some days he felt like what he was born as. Other days he felt like what he wanted to be on the inside, to escape standards and remain a coward. But that was his little secret. What business of it was theirs? Civilization would have compassion for his kind. He would ram it down their throats with executive fiat if he had to. Why couldn't they see the light? Why did they have to dwell in their holy book of standards and rules? Did they not see that the God of this world had come to free them from the darkness of primitive prejudices? The light was love, free and unrestrained by standards. The king had rules, but surely they were just to serve his ego. This new light came without a price, so long as everyone agreed. Those who did not would be made to see. And if they refused, well, some people were just too dangerous to exist. But not him, though he was a demon in an ill-fitting dress. He served the Lord of Light. He served compassion at any cost, that revolutionary spirit that broke crowns and stacked skulls. They would have their way. He would be protected, at long last, from the crusaders who knew what he was, so long as he could eat your children, this demon.
Oh!
I wanted to see
if that's the last thing we ever put on YouTube. It was worth it.
Oh, good night, everyone.
That's
that
was
good night awesome. And good
phenomenal.
Luck. Well, I wanted to see if I could maybe like get close to your letter that you wrote. Your Mitch letter.
The letter to Mitch. There is this one line. He served compassion at any cost. That revolutionary spirit that broke crowns and stacked skulls. Gosh, dang it. That's so good.
Thanks, man.
That's so good.
Yeah, thank you.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Oh, and it is, man. It's that compulsory compassion.
Yep. Compassion at any cost.
Yeah. You will have compassion for these people, even though you don't agree with whatever. It doesn't matter. You will
compulsory compassion.
Mandatory.
Jeez.
Welcome to the new world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so beat that.
Oh.
With your Nick's like, I'm gonna need another.
This is
lighten the mood, buddy. Come on.
This is like, that's like a fine Cabernet with a Kool-Aid chaser.
Yeah, whatever.
There we go.
All right, Mr. Box Wine.
No.
Look, here's the thing. Box wine sells. So,
It's easy to hide, too. You can wrap it in Christmas paper. It looks like a gift.
It's awesome.
All right. Here's mine. Gosh, and just, I feel like I need to apologize for the upcoming inadequacy.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Presentation. All right, here we go. He didn't say you're welcome. He just nodded at the woman after she breezed through the door he was holding. She barely said thank you at all. But there he was, but there was still just enough old world residue from her upbringing to acknowledge the gesture. Now, in a world of digital courtesy, it was hard to know how to respond to humans face to face. If she could have replied with a thumbs up emoji, he certainly would have received it. It made him grin with antagonistic pleasure to hold doors open for people. There was no virtual equivalent. It wasn't something that could be experienced online, at least not in any meaningful way. And when people walked through the doors that Owen would hold open for them, the befuddled, confused, and sometimes offended expressions on their faces both entertained and grieved him. It was a lost art, common courtesy, in the same arcane category as using a turn signal or standing when a lady walked into the room.
Yeah.
I say arcane instead of antiquated because there was mystery, with a hint of witchcraft in those old ways.
Yeah.
They had an effect on people. They were visible symbols of breeding, manners, and a desire to rise in the world. But what Owen enjoyed the most is that they aggressively interrupted the malaise of thoughtless movement as people stared at their digital leashes, the black mirrors that talked to them, thought for them, and directed their lives.
Ooh, preach, Brother Goss. Yeah. Nice.
Owen had smashed his black mirrored master, torn off his leash, if you will, and learned the old witchcraft of etiquette. He bolstered his newfound powers with self-mastery, patience, and deliberated, confident speech. It wasn't long before Owen himself peeked behind the master's curtain to find that he qualified to be one of the elite, a master of the race, a producer, and not a consumer. It was the time for free thought and a reliance on self that took Owen, not back into the regressive old ways, but forward into the future as a paladin of human competence.
Oh, dude, that is awesome.
Thank you.
Bravo, Nick.
Thank you.
See, how funny is it? He's insecure about that, you know.
Paladin and black mirrors I got from you.
Yeah. I love it. That is amazing. What made you think of that?
No idea.
Just going through life?
Just sitting down at the thing and
yeah. Just going out anywhere.
It just, speaks to my hatred of technology.
Yeah.
Have to use it. Got to be proficient in it.
Yeah.
We have no choice, but I hate it.
You would probably enjoy Dune because there is a big aspect of refusal of technology in that in order to retain and continue to cultivate human self-actualization. Mm-hmm. Like AI is outlawed in Dune, in the Dune universe.
Interesting.
Yeah, like there's like this whole back thing of, and for that very same reason, that it creates this, it dumbs down the species and it creates this malaise that of just complacency of like where everybody just turns into the surface dwellers from the time machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
where you're all just like, oh, we're all just hanging out until the sirens go off, and then one of us gets eaten.
Yep.
By the Morlocks.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
And I tell you, man, there's a lot of truth in that because, like, one of the reasons why I'm always like talking about the senoritas, is because like I've been on enough dates with enough white chicks who like got mad at me when I held the door for them.
That's so dumb.
Yeah. I have been scorned for holding the door for girls before by them. Like, I mean, you want to talk about ingratitude, and it's that technology thing, man. It really, it detaches you. It sucks you in. It's a black mirror of narcissism,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a witchcraft. It's totally spellbinding.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's addictive.
And so when someone comes along, like Owen, who has the ability to like, who actually pays attention to like these old etiquette rules. There was a scene from an early Hugh Jackman movie called Kate and Leopold about that. Where it's, we're talking early, like I think pre X-Men.
Okay.
Kate and Leopold.
Okay.
Or Hugh Jackman. And he plays he's like, he's from the Napoleonic era. And he's like a soldier, whatever, a gentleman, officer, and he's in modern day somehow. It's like him and Meg Ryan and some other dude. And I'll never forget in the trailer, there's a scene where he and this other guy are hanging out at the dinner table or whatever. And Meg Ryan comes into the room and he stands up, and it's that very thing where like the other dude has no idea what he's doing, because he's just like a normal 20th century guy, and then Meg Ryan is just, she's flustered by it. She's got the vapors because of it. She has no idea, but that's standard practice.
Yeah.
And it is. Yeah. I mean, arcane is the perfect word for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, what are you working on this week?
I got to really dig into. I've been trying to edit Wayfarers.
Okay. Editing week.
Yeah, it's editing. It's all editing. And Wayfarers, I think will be easy. It's a time-consuming process. You know, it's a 5th Angel book for anybody who's interested. It's 500 pages. I think I'm probably 30 pages in. The good thing about it is that, it's probably the best written book I've ever done. So there's not a whole lot of editing. It's just deciding, I think I'd rather have a comma here than here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's any major things that need to be done to it. But it takes time and concentration. I can't do it when I'm waiting on somebody, when I'm waiting in the lobby for the doctor or something. You know what I mean? You have to sit down but yeah, it's good. Adam, you'll really dig it, dude. Honestly. Adam's gonna absolutely love Wayfarers.
Cool.
And it's fun. It covers everything from even their time in the Imperium all the way up to effectively 1912. So it almost works as a real preamble for Grey Aegis in a way. Cool. That's the only thing about the books. The Heavenly Realm series is such a weird chronological mishmash. It's the order that they were written in. You can read it in the order that they were written in, which would make sense. You could read it in the chronological order that they take place, or you could read it in order of importance, because there really are 2 or 3 books that are not relevant to the series. Oh wow, in the next 7 to 10 days. Yeah, that's good, Adam. That I imagine if I'm not done with it by then, I'll be close to it. That's pretty good. Hopefully you got another of Nick's book to work on too. I know he had mentioned that. Although he did send me a cool picture this morning of ACX of having a bunch of chapters that he had done.
Nice.
So
nice. Very cool.
To that. But yeah, just editing. Just hammering away at the editing and trying to get that to work. So I think Nate should have the contract for the special edition for Empyrean Falling. So I think he's probably gonna get geared up with Taurus Necros to get the pre-order campaign going for that. I think we're gonna start off with 25 copies to see to see how it does.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
It'll be in hardback.
That's fantastic.
So anybody who's interested in a hardback version,
you're getting hardback.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, what?
I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like.
Oh, man.
What about you? What do you have going on?
I would love to get some I'd love to get at least the timepiece in hardback. That way I could get it into some libraries, start selling it to libraries.
Wait, do they not take it? The libraries not take it to a sound in hardback?
They want hardback. I've
seen plenty of paperbacks.
I have too, but to walk in and try to pitch a book, to try to get it to them, they want a hardback.
That's such a weird stipulation.
Yeah, I know.
Is that their way of getting around the Amazon thing?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly right. They don't want to have to order books from Amazon.
Right.
And for kids' books in particular, they want hardback. They want something.
Well, they're going to have a lot of room now. They're kicking out all those Dr. Seuss books.
Right. They're going to have a lot of room.
Current events for you. Yep. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
Just right for the taking.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a good thing Iran doesn't have a navy. God, jeez. God bless it.
Man.
We're canceled. What was the deal with the Dr. Seuss books? I don't even know.
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with them whatsoever, except somebody somewhere said, well, they have racial undertones.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole point of Dr. Seuss is to talk about the differences of people and how you can overcome it.
Everything is so wildly different. In every creature, everything he creates is like celebrating differences.
Right.
But celebrating differences is racism.
Right, yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, well, what you have to do is you have to acknowledge that all white people are evil and kill them all. That's the new...
I guess that's where it's headed.
That's where it's headed.
I guess.
And anybody who thinks that it's anything other than that, you're lying to yourself. Yeah. There's some real Jonathan for you, by the way.
Having said that, I think we're still connected. Yeah, we are.
Yeah. We still on? Yeah.
Give it time.
There's like a delay, so Yeah, they'll just tell me I can't edit this video.
Oh man. Well, for me, I'm just writing this week. I have a Friday deadline to finish the Hoppus Chronicle, so I can get it to the editor, to Sue.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I'm going to allow myself to do this week.
Good.
I'm not going to do anything else.
Yeah.
Last couple weeks, though, super productive. But looking forward, I just need to stinking write.
Yeah.
Just need to write.
Yeah.
Just get it done. Get it
that
out.
Can be the hardest thing, man. It's just sitting down, just ass in the chair.
Yep. Yep. And just finding a comfortable place to do it. I mean, the only place I can write here is I cannot write in this room.
Really?
I cannot write in this room. There's too many things to look at, distractions, and.
Well, they took your There's still the Starbucks is closed down.
Yeah, they used to open up at 5 a.m. I'd walk in, write for a couple hours, come home, work, or drive to work. Mm-hmm. But Starbucks being the fear mongering, leftist, progressive, virtue signaling, ridiculous monolith that it is.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, you can go through our drive-through, or you can come in and order and leave, but you can't sit. You can't come in and sit down. So their cafes are closed for anyone coming in and sitting down, at least here, at least in this region, which is a shame because I had a really good thing going and I could kill it. I could really crush, an easy 2,000 words in a morning, which is double what I can.
Just having that separation.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to work when I go there.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I get in my car, I go.
It is motivating, and you can kind of the drive helps sort of zen, sort of flush a little bit. And then the drive back is kind of nice because it's sort of editing and review. Oh, I should do this. I should do that. But then that's a big thing that I think a lot of writers don't understand. Like until you experience it, sort of like what Adam was talking about last week when he said that standing helps reading certain things.
Yep. When he does Gary Pug.
Yeah. And then or the battles. Then the more intimate moments, he's sitting. It's the same thing for a writer. Like for most of you, honestly, like if you're watching this and you're struggling, a big part of it might be, and it took me a long time to figure this out, don't write in your bedroom. And if you can, don't even write in your house. Mm-hmm. Like what Nick does is super common and very healthy in a lot of ways. You want that compartmentalization.
Absolutely.
Most people, and not everybody, like, you might thrive laying in bed typing on your laptop. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you. Art is not really subjective to a large number of stringent rules and protocols. But for most of us, like all of my best writing was literally done at work when I did that security gig.
Yeah.
For 10 years because I was just able to sit there. There's nothing else going on. There's no one to talk to. There's no TV or internet or anything. So you can just sit on the computer and just hammer away on Word, and then every hour you get up and do a patrol. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like the perfect. You want to talk about like
a regular break?
Yeah,
in your writing,
dude. It's super blessed to be able to.
Fantastic.
You want to talk about God like setting you up for success.
That's awesome.
Giving you everything you need.
Yeah.
And so, but Nick having that to where he goes to Starbucks and sits. It doesn't matter where it is, but you compartmentalize your life a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's like LL Cool J and Toys talking about, I want my peas, invading my mashed potatoes. I like my tray with all my different foods. You have to have that separation, so that you can sort of leave work at work and leave art at art and, your side hustle at your side hustle. Because then, like, that's the only thing about Dad. And he figured that out at some point when he had to get that writing room.
Yep.
But you remember, like, I think there was a real struggle with Dad writing from home.
Yeah, it was hard for him to stay down there in his room knowing that
life is going on up here and he's missing out. And even at the old house, at the smaller house in Brentwood, in Hemingwood, when we were young, he would just write late at night at the piano. And eventually Mom made him get the apartment because she couldn't sleep.
Eventually he had to get a 1-bedroom apartment and put a little upright piano in there for him to do his writing in,
which worked really well. But I think and I don't think Dad really enjoyed that because he didn't like being away from us. But the reality was working at home and having everything at home, even if it's in the living room, when you walk past that room, it's just this cauldron of sirens and monsters just calling your name of every time you walk past it, you're reminded of all the things you got to do about that.
Yep. And then home becomes a place of stress.
Right. And then home becomes not only not only are you crossing the streams, but you're adding to your own stress. So like for most people, really finding a separate place to engage in the writing process is a really, really healthy thing. And
so pray that Starbucks opens their freaking cafe.
So Nick's writing stops sucking.
Yeah, exactly. So I can start producing.
Well, look, I haven't had that security job in like the better part of a decade, so everything I've written in the past 10 years has got to be crap.
No, it's not. It's great, but just imagine how much better it could be, how much more we could write if we had that dedicated space.
Right.
So maybe we need to get an office somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Yeah. A little writer's emporium. Yeah. Now we're getting pretentious.
But it needs to be a cabin.
Yeah.
It needs to have.
I do have a friend who was talking about going in on some real estate together somewhere.
Oh man, don't start talking. We'll talk about that at dinner.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at dinner.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's it, man. Adam's working on the audiobooks. Taurus Necros has the special edition coming out soon, I guess. And I'm just editing. So,
all right. Well, hope you guys have a great week. And Nate, appreciate you jumping on and interacting. Adam, always wonderful to interact with you and chat with you. And it was awesome having you on the live stream last week too.
We're going to we were talking about that, Adam. We're probably thinking about, and you and I talked a little bit about that, having you on periodically to promote you and to promote the books and what all you're doing, and really like Adam's idea of reading something.
Man, that'd be awesome.
Like a preview. So and if you guys are interested, man, Adam Burrell is awesome at narration, man.
Yep.
He's the man, and somebody out there who's far more successful than us needs to pick him up, and then watching this so that so that he doesn't leave us.
So we can ride on his coattails is basically what you're saying. We want to ride on Adam's coattails.
So I can keep him in the stable, dude. The last thing I need is Adam. And he won't. Adam's way too sweet, but still. Yeah. Well, and Nate is too. I'm looking forward to seeing what the special edition looks like. So
yeah.
So all right, guys. Well, have a good week. Take care. Thanks for joining us. John, I know you were watching too. Thank you, buddy. And I'm glad you enjoyed. John texted me after I finished the one off.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he liked it.
Good.
So we won't get reported just yet.
Good.
Love it. Man. Well, have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to you later, all right?
See you, everyone.
We're going to go get Mexican.
Yes. You can flirt on that senorita.
Yeah. Happy hunting ground.